a comprehensive exploration of every chapter in the Book of Numbers. The Book of Numbers, nestled within the pages of the biblical narrative, unfolds as a numerical journey that goes beyond mere counting. In this comprehensive exploration, we embark on a profound odyssey through each chapter of Numbers, delving into the intricate narratives, divine guidance, and challenges faced by the Israelites during their wilderness sojourn. Chapter 1: The Census of Israel. The opening chapter sets the stage with the divine command to conduct a census of the Israelites. Each tribe is meticulously counted, reflecting God's concern for the details and the organization of His chosen people. Chapter 2: The Arrangement of the Camp. Following the census, God provides specific instructions on the arrangement of the Israelite camp around the tabernacle. This chapter highlights the order and precision that characterize the movements of the community. Chapter 3: The Levites' Duties. Chapter 3 details the responsibilities assigned to the Levites, emphasizing their unique role in serving the tabernacle. This chapter reveals the intricacies of the sacred duties entrusted to the Levitical priesthood. Chapter 4: The Duties of the Kohathites, Gershonites, and Merarites. Continuing the focus on the Levites, this chapter elaborates on the distinct tasks assigned to the Kohathites, Gershonites, and Merarites concerning the transport and care of the tabernacle and its furnishings. Chapter 5: Laws regarding uncleanness and restitution. Numbers 5 introduces laws regarding uncleanness and restitution. This chapter emphasizes the importance of maintaining ritual purity and addresses situations of wrongdoing within the community. Chapter 6: The Nazirite Vow. In this chapter, the Nazirite vow is introduced, allowing individuals to consecrate themselves to the Lord for a specified period. This voluntary act of devotion reflects the personal commitment to a higher level of holiness. Chapter 7: Offerings of the Leaders. The leaders of the 12 tribes present offerings for the dedication of the tabernacle. Each leader's offering is detailed, underscoring the collective commitment of the Israelite community to the divine dwelling. Chapter 8: The Setting Apart of the Levites. God instructs Moses to set apart the Levites for their service in the tabernacle. This chapter marks a significant moment in the consecration of the Levites to their sacred duties. Chapter 9: The Passover Celebration. Numbers 9 describes the celebration of the Passover, emphasizing the importance of observing this significant festival. The chapter also addresses the provision for those unable to celebrate at the appointed time. Chapter 10: The Silver Trumpets. The making and use of silver trumpets are detailed in this chapter, serving various purposes, including signaling the congregation, gathering the leaders, and signaling the camps to set out on their journey. Chapter 11: Complaints and God's Response. The Israelites express discontent in the wilderness, and God responds by providing quail and expressing His displeasure. This chapter reflects the challenges of maintaining faith and contentment during the journey. Chapter 12: Miriam and Aaron's Opposition. Miriam and Aaron oppose Moses, and Miriam is struck with leprosy. This chapter explores themes of leadership challenges and the consequences of questioning the authority appointed by God. Chapter 13: The Spies Sent into Canaan. 12 spies are sent to explore the land of Canaan, but only Caleb and Joshua bring back a positive report. The Israelites' response to the majority report leads to consequences for their lack of faith. Chapter 14: Israel's Rebellion and God's Judgment. The Israelites rebel against entering the Promised Land, prompting God's judgment. This chapter highlights the consequences of unbelief and disobedience, leading to the wilderness generation's exclusion from entering Canaan. Chapter 15: Laws regarding offerings and garments. This chapter provides additional laws regarding offerings, including the sin offering and the law of tassels on garments. It underscores the importance of obedience and holiness in worship. Chapter 16: Korah's Rebellion. Korah, Dathan, and Abiram rebel against Moses and Aaron, challenging their leadership. God intervenes dramatically, affirming the divine choice of leadership and displaying his authority over the community. Chapter 17, Aaron's budding staff. To quell further discontent and establish Aaron's priesthood, God miraculously causes Aaron's staff to bud, flower, and produce almonds. This sign confirms the divine choice of the Aaronic priesthood. Chapter 18, Duties of the Priests and Levites. Chapter 18 outlines the specific duties assigned to the priests and Levites, emphasizing the separation of roles within the sacred order. This chapter reinforces the importance of order and reverence in divine worship. Chapter 19, Laws of Purification. Numbers 19 introduces the laws of purification, including the sacrifice of the red heifer. This chapter underscores the significance of ritual purity in preparation for worship. Chapter 20, Water from the Rock. Moses strikes the rock to bring forth water, but God declares that both he and Aaron will not enter the promised land due to their lack of faith. This chapter illustrates the consequences of disobedience. Chapter 21, The Bronze Serpent. Facing a plague of fiery serpents, God instructs Moses to craft a bronze serpent. Those who look upon it are healed. This chapter foreshadows Christ's redemptive work on the cross. Chapter 22 to 24, Balaam's Oracles. Balaam, hired to curse Israel, is compelled by God to bless them instead. This section includes Balaam's famous prophecies, including the Star of Jacob and the future greatness of Israel. Chapter 25, Israel's Apostasy with Moab. The Israelites engage in idolatry and immorality with the Moabites, leading to a plague. Phinehas, zealous for God, intervenes, and the plague is stopped. This chapter highlights the dangers of compromise and the zeal for holiness. Chapter 26, A Second Census. A second census is conducted before entering the Promised Land, reflecting the new generation that will inherit the land. This chapter highlights God's faithfulness to fulfill His promises despite the previous generation's unbelief. Chapter 27, The Daughters of Zelophehad. The daughters of Zelophehad, facing the absence of male heirs, appeal for their inheritance rights. God grants their request, establishing a precedent for justice and equality in inheritance laws. Chapter 28 to 29, Offerings and Festivals. Detailed instructions for daily, Sabbath, monthly, and annual offerings are provided in these chapters. The festivals, including Passover, Pentecost, and the Feast of Tabernacles, are outlined, emphasizing the importance of regular and festive worship. Chapter 30, Vows and Oaths. This chapter addresses the making and fulfillment of vows, emphasizing the seriousness of commitments made to God. It underscores the need for integrity and faithfulness in keeping one's word. Chapter 31, War against Midian. God commands the Israelites to wage war against the Midianites, resulting in the victory over their enemies. This chapter portrays the consequences of unfaithfulness and the importance of divine obedience. Chapter 32, Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh's inheritance. The tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh request land on the east side of the Jordan. Moses grants their request, but with a reminder of their commitment to assist in conquering the Promised Land. Chapter 33, Israel's Journey Through the Wilderness. A detailed account of Israel's journey through the wilderness is provided, emphasizing the faithfulness of God in guiding them from Egypt to the plains of Moab. Chapter 34, The Boundaries of Canaan. God outlines the boundaries of the Promised Land, detailing the regions to be divided among the tribes of Israel. This chapter marks a pivotal moment as the anticipation of entering Canaan intensifies. Chapter 35, Cities of Refuge and Levitical Cities. Cities of refuge are designated for unintentional killers, and additional Levitical cities are assigned to the tribe of Levi. This chapter highlights the importance of justice and protection for the innocent. Chapter 36, Inheritance Laws for the Daughters of Zelophehad. Concerns are raised about the potential loss of tribal inheritance if the daughters of Zelophehad marry outside their tribe. God establishes guidelines to ensure the preservation of tribal heritage through inheritance. Numbers, often seen as a book of wilderness wandering and numerical data, emerges as a narrative rich in divine guidance, faith-testing challenges, and the fulfillment of God's promises. Each chapter contributes to the overarching theme of God's sovereignty and faithfulness, guiding the Israelites toward their inheritance. Join us as we continue to explore the depths of biblical wisdom in future series, unraveling the sacred narratives embedded in the pages of Scripture.